All right, so we are back. Some more Elden Ring. Today we're gonna run through all the underground stuff, knock Ron, etc. Finish Ronnie's quests, and then once we finish Ronnie's quests, really there's just some side stuff to clean up. Get all the legendary weapons, spells, talismans, ashes, etc. And then after that, there's just any character NPC quests that need to be finished up in Farum Azula. I think there's a talisman in Farum Azula to do. Alexander's quest ends in Farum Azula. Stuff like that. And then well, we still got to go to the Erdtree, so there's still all that to do as well. Then I'm debating on what I want to do. I'm debating on if I want to actually like finish the game and have like an ending play or not. That's kind of the issue that I'm thinking of, because like, again, if you do the actual chaos ending, that's when Melina, finds Torrent's ring and vows to hunt you down. Like, I wonder if doing that and then going into the DLC matters, like if that will have some kind of impact, if she will like chase you down in the DLC or not. Or not, you know what I mean? Like, I also wonder if the DLC will offer other endings, because I can always play through the DLC just because of getting Miquella's needle, you know what I mean? Like, I can always play through the DLC and see what other options there might be, because I've done the chaos ending before. I'm not really concerned with that, but I can see what other options I guess present itself. Maybe change the Elden Ring, the other runes, because like Mesmer's in there. I would assume we probably get a great rune from Mesmer. I don't think they're making him out to be kind of like the big bad guy. I don't think he's the last boss. Like they tend to do that a lot with like their DLCs and things like that. Like, what's her name in Bloodborne? I can't remember her name off the top of my head right now, but like they set her up as like the big main character, last boss, etc. But once you kill her, there's still the whole fishing village to go to. Learn what really kind of happened. So I feel like Mesmer is going to be the same way. I feel like they'll be like build up to go to Mesmer, and then Mesmer's like, I think Mesmer's probably going to be like guarding whatever this potential divine gate thing is that, you saw America sitting out in the trailer. There's like the DLC trailer, we see America like climbing up these like steps with like blood and gore and all kinds of shit everywhere, I guess, whether it be literal or metaphorically, of all the bodies that she's stepping over to achieve her goals. That's kind of the indication. And then we see her like pluck these hairs of gold that looks like, I guess, potentially some kind of gate to divinity, I think is what it was called, or something like that, from some kind of description somewhere. I heard that on, I think, one of Vadi Video's things, where I guess maybe it was some kind of description on one of the websites or something like that. I don't know, but anyway. So I feel like he's actually guarding like the way into the Divine Gate, and then once we beat him, that'll be like the start of the second half of the DLC where we'll get into like the real shit, you know what I mean? That's when we'll get into see more stuff about what really happened with America and Mikola and all that. And they're just kind of using him as the face of the DLC or whatever. You guys literally do no damage, but I'm quite over leveled for where I'm supposed to be. Well, that's fine. So we're only a couple days away, man. We're only a couple days away. It's Monday right now recording this, so if I don't finish up everything today, I should definitely have everything finished up tomorrow. If not, then 100% for sure by Wednesday, just in time for the DLC to come out Thursday. I wonder, I don't see on the store page on Steam what time it comes out. So I wonder, is it like Wednesday at midnight kind of a situation? Or is it gonna be like Thursday afternoon? You know, because sometimes with time zones, like usually in the East Coast, like they do like, they'll do like noon Pacific. So that'll be 3 o'clock here on the East Coast is when it'll release. It's usually kind of like how they do things like that, but sometimes they do staggered releases based on time zone. So I don't know, maybe we'll get it, you know, early, but I feel like it'll probably be like, oh, if it's not like a midnight on Wednesday night release. Which actually, I mean, that tends to also usually be like 3 in the morning then, because they'll do like midnight Pacific time, that everyone in the US gets it at the same time. Situation. So, but regardless, we should be ready to go on Thursday, and I'm super excited for that. I was gonna try to like upload, like I just got some fiber internet, you know, and I've got like about as good as a computer as you can get nowadays. So I was gonna try doing videos in 4K, but it still just takes too long. Like 4K 60 FPS videos, they still take too long. Like I've tried to split these videos up into like 2-hour long-ish segments. It's kind of what I'm shooting for. Each video to be around 2 hours-ish long. I feel like more than 2 hours is starting to get a little too long. But no less than like an hour and a half is what I try to keep them at. So somewhere in between there. But it usually takes, you know, it's a 2-hour video. It usually takes 2 to 2.5 hours to render a 4K 60 FPS video, which is fine. But it's still just too long to be sitting here and not doing anything. You know, I have my older computer I've set up that I can like use to render videos while I'm doing this, and it takes a long time. It takes like double the time to render a video. So I think we might, for like series videos, like I'm, you know, doing a full playthrough, we might just be sticking to 1440p for the best quality for now, and then like, I don't know, maybe certain individual videos, like if it's just me dicking around in a game of Apex or PUBG, or something crazy happens and me, you know, playing Tarkov or something like that, we do 4K for those. But I don't know. It's the issue is just trying to find the time where I'm not doing something in my computer for an extended period of time so I can render the 4K videos is the problem. And like, I just don't really have the time. I'm always doing something on here, recording something. If I'm not making, you know, one of my normal YouTube videos, and I'm generally playing something, making other videos, or, you know, I'm doing something on my computer. So like, I don't really have the availability to sit there and just let it run for an extended period of time. So I think we're probably just gonna have to stick with 1440p for the best overall quality for like a series of videos like this. Or well, at least, I mean, I guess it depends on the situation too. Like for this, I'm trying to get a playthrough set up and ready to go for the DLC. You know what I mean? So like, I haven't had the time in between to like really let the computer just render stuff, you know? And then I want to try to get this playthrough out and then get my DLC playthrough out in a timely manner is the issue. So like if I had more time in between like playing and rendering stuff, I'd probably still do 4K. But like, also, I don't know, do we really need like Elden Ring 4K? You know what I mean? Like, it's a pretty game, but it's not like this game needs 4K to like look amazing. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, I don't know, my Cyberpunk playthrough. Ow, you motherfucker. Or don't roll away. Okay. I definitely finished drinking and I'm hitting the button to roll and he's not rolling. So, okay. Whatever, dude. Fine. Fine. Be that way. I'm honestly surprised that I was also not able to poise break him when he was doing the fucking weapon art, because that happens to me all the goddamn time when I do that. I just get fucking poise broke, but you know, I guess the computer gets to do whatever it wants. So yeah, so I don't know. If I had more time to like play for a couple of hours, do a couple of little editing things and let it run, you know, that might be something. But that hit, really? Bitch. Well, I don't know. Like I said, I want to get this out in a timely manner. I also really need to get the Chaos Gate playthrough up. So that's another part of the issue is like, I know I have people who've been waiting for me to get that out for a while. I finished that. I need to get that out. I haven't been, again, like, having time to just let things render. But I want to get through this playthrough so I can be ready for the DLC. So that I can then, you know, have a playthrough of the DLC. I'm gonna take my time during the DLC. But I want to get the stuff out, you know what I mean? So I think once I've caught up and I've got this playthrough out with the DLC out and I've got the Chaos Gate playthrough out, I'm kind of like caught up with things. I can see about maybe doing things in 4K more regularly. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's really just an issue of time. do I have the time to let it just sit there and run and not necessarily be able to use my computer for anything else other than like maybe watching a stream or something like that while it's running. But I just haven't been able to do it at the moment. Yeah, I still got Moog to kill too. Lord of Blood, your eminence, I beg you grant me a seat at the table of the dynasty. Long live the Mogwin dynasty. Long live the Mogwin dynasty. Got bad news for you, brother. That shit's coming to an end real quick. That shit's gonna come to an end real quick. Yeah, I gotta say, out of all the bosses, Moog is probably one that gives me most trouble. That's not including Melania, but I don't know, man. I don't really like the Melania boss fight. I feel like that's just a kind of a dumb, cheap ass fight. Like, the only reason why Melania honestly is any kind of difficult is just because of how much she heals herself. The fact that she heals herself and she does like those flourishes that literally can heal like fucking half to 2/3 her health in like one fucking flourish. And then she has multiple ways to fucking... Dude, what are you doing? My guy, I don't know. She has multiple ways that she can just fucking like one-shot you, basically. She has several grabs that kind of just one-shot you. She's got the fucking waterfowl fucking thing. Which, I mean, once you figure out how to dodge that, it's not super difficult to continually do that. Or at least dodge it enough to where you don't die, but... Again, you know, that's something that does multiple hits, that healer. So it's like, whatever, man. Like, it's just, I feel like it's a dumb fight. I don't feel like it's that challenging of a fight, honestly. It's just difficult for the sake of, like, being difficult. It's not difficult because it's, like, mechanically or skillfully challenging. Like, there's bosses in Sekiro that are, I think, far more challenging and interesting to fight in comparison. But that's also a different game. Okay. Okay. But yeah, Moog is definitely the boss that gives me like the most difficulty, and it really what it comes down to is just the second phase with him throwing his fucking blood fire everywhere with his like spear attacks and shit too, and just like essentially closing off ground that you can walk on. That's really what becomes a problem, because like you just start ticking damage and then eventually you get a burst of blood loss, and that tends to stun you like when he's in the middle of a fucking attack, and then you just die. It gets annoying. But there's also, I mean, there's plenty of cheap ways to fucking kill him too, you know? It's the same with the Melania. I mean, you know, if you really wanted to, you can use a Mimic Tier and just summon fucking Melania as a joke. I don't know if Moog's the same way. I know you can do the Kamehameha free FP, you know, thing with him. And at least makes that first part of the fight super easy. And same with her. I mean, I think technically you can do that with both of her phases, right? Like, I think if you kill Melania quick enough with the Kamehameha with the infinite FP, you can trigger phase 2 to start it. She does her Scarlet Bloom maneuver where she's just sitting there vulnerable, and then you can fucking do it again and take her out before the time runs out on the flask. I think you can do that. I've never done it before, but I think that is something that can be done. So I mean, it's like, there's definitely ways to trivialize a lot of the boss fights in this game, which is whatever, I guess, you know what I mean? not my style. I prefer the challenge, but at the same time, some of the bosses, like I said, are difficult just for the sake of being difficult. They're not like my kind of challenge that I want to have. They're not like mechanically challenged. It's not like a skillful thing when you're fighting him. It's just like, oh, you're just difficult for the sake of just being difficult. Like again, like Melania with her. I'm gonna sit here and heal 2/3 of my health in one little flourish because that's just how I've been made. Oh, whoops. I forgot to reset my flasks. I forgot to reset my flasks. Yeah, you get a ton of level tier from these giant cannonball things, so that's cool. Not that I really use them often, but I did a dumb thing and I had to reset my. You haven't seen it from the playthrough. You watched all the playthroughs so far, you would have seen it, but I still can't believe I reset the fucking int instead of faith, and I used 2 larval teals to reset my stats after doing the gold mark class. Fucking dumb, but whatever. So yeah, speaking of, let's reset the flasks. No, it's not what I want. I swear to God, I remember having 15 flasks. Maybe I'm crazy and it's just always been 14, you know? Maybe I'm just mistaken, but I could have swore that it was 15 flasks at one point. A little further. Probably too far. Yeah. Running pretty decent at freehanding this though. Free aiming. There we go. Too far. Really? That was too short, huh? Okay. I say as I now start missing everything. I thought that would hit both. Wasn't a direct one, but it was good enough. Got him. Yeah, I'm very excited and very much looking forward to the DLC. That's kind of like the thing I'm waiting for as far as gaming goes this year. Other than the DLC for this, really the only other thing that I'm like somewhat hyped for, honestly more hyped for now that I've seen the trailer, is Space Marine 2, man. It looks good. Space Marine 2 looks good. Combat looks good. You got like 3v3, or not 3v3, but you got 3-man, kind of like co-op, kind of like Helldivers-esque looking missions. You can customize your character. There's 6v6 PvP, and it looks like there might be like fairly in-depth melee combat on top of, you know, some ranged, you know, combat. So I'm looking forward to that too. Other than that, I really don't have any other games that I can think of that I'm really looking forward to coming out this year. I mean, maybe Avowed, maybe. I've got my eye in it, but like, I don't know, I mean, like, there has not been a good, and well, I haven't played Outer Wilds. A lot of people have said Outer Wilds is a really good game, but I don't know, when it comes to like first-person RPGs, like really, it's like Skyrim still. Like really, it's like Skyrim. like, I don't know, there's the Fallout games. I'm not a super Fallout fan. I'm just not a super Fallout fan, really. I don't think they're bad games. Like, I'm not gonna say they're bad games, but it's just, I don't really like the aesthetic and the setting of Fallout. Like, I don't really care about the, it's the 1950s, but, you know, futuristic 1950s. Kind of like a steampunk, like a what if scenario 1950s. With like, kind of mixing of various things. There's, you know, some steampunky stuff with robots and whatnot, and you know, there's lasers and rad guns and gravity guns, and I don't know. It's like, it's the future, but at the same time, everything's still stuck in the 1950s. Like, I don't know. I don't really care for the setting as much. And the thing is, like, get off the horse. Dude, what is with me having to hit this button? I hit the button to get off the horse 4 times. 4 times before he actually did it. Like, what is this? Of course. Okay, let me just get fucking knocked out of my goddamn attack. Okay. Let me just get knocked out of my fucking attack again. You can just poise me. Holy fucking shit, dude. I hate these things. Fuck off, bitch. So stupid. It's so fucking dumb that you can just do that. And just, you know, every attack just breaks me out of that. Like, I'm not necessarily saying that it should be 100% free all the fucking time, but it's like every fucking attack can break me out of my goddamn weapon art. Like, everything just breaks my voice. But, you know, they all have fucking power armor, or whatever the fuck it's called. Hyper armor. It's fucking annoying. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah, I just, like, Fallout really doesn't do it for me. And like I said, the Outer Wilds basically kind of seems like Fallout, right? I think wasn't it made by the guys that made New Vegas or something like that? So, I don't know. I don't know if it really, like, is that kind of thing. And I just kind of prefer, like, RPGs as, like, a fantasy genre kind of thing. For the most part. I mean, there's always Mass Effect. Like, I love Mass Effect. Mass Effect is one of my favorite series of games in all time. I'm very saddened by, you know, Andromeda, and I don't really have faith that the new one is going to be anything good after seeing the trailer for the new Dragon Age. I was very disappointed in that. You know, like, I don't know. I almost don't even want to talk about it. Like, it's just not Dragon Age anymore. It's not what Dragon Age was. And like, I mean, I like Dragon Age 1, 2, and 3. I think the first Dragon Age game was overall still the best. But I like 2. You know, the only real problem I had with the second Dragon Age game was, I mean, you're stuck in one town and they recycled all of the areas. Like, I get that the story is taking place in one town, that you're kind of like, you're a refugee escaping the issues that happened in the first one. It takes place at, Jesus Christ, dude. It takes place at the same time, you know, your family's refugees, or you're escaping the events of the first Dragon Age game. And so, like, you're going to a new town, you end up having to try to make a new name for yourself, etc., etc. Like, I get it, but like, you still, and yes, it makes sense that some missions would take place in the same areas and they would be reused, but that doesn't have to be for like literally every side mission and every chapter goes into the same areas. And it's just like, you could expand on it a little bit more, but you know, like, having said all that, I think the story of Dragon Age 2 is probably the best out of the games. Like, the whole, you know, Mage vs. Templars theme. You know, the idea that, yeah, mages have the potential to be extremely dangerous, you know, when left unchecked, and when left untrained. Who knows what, you know, a mage could really do, etc., etc. You know, but at the same time, they're people and they deserve to have the right to, like, have a life, but at the same time not, you know, like, the idea that if they refuse to go to school and be part of this, the mage circle, I think, I forget what it's called, but you know, if they refuse to conform to that, the only other option is essentially to have a lobotomy, where you've lost all sense of, you know, self and feeling, and like, you're kind of just basically like an automaton, you know what I mean? Like, you're not even really you anymore. That's not fair. Like, I like the whole back and forth and the questions of, you know, morality and stuff like that plays into Dragon Age 2. What's right, what's wrong, who's right, who's wrong, is there a middle ground, a compromise that can be made? But then, you know, having all hell break loose, which I won't get into necessarily too much. If you guys haven't had a chance to play it, or you want to play it, because I don't want to spoiler it for you, but you know, and then that storyline leads into what's going on in the third one. The third one starts off with, you know, there's been a war going on between mages and Templars, and they've agreed to peace talks. You know, the leader of the Chantry, this religious organization, has organized a peace summit. There's been a ceasefire, you know, and peace talks are happening, and then all shit happens, all hell breaks loose again. Both sides wonder, you know, was it them that did the thing or the other that did the thing? And you know, as you go through the story, you find out what's really going on, etc. Again, I don't want to like spoil too much necessarily about it as far as details and stuff go, but you know, rifts to the fate have been opening everywhere, and you somehow have become the only one who has the ability to close these fades, and so an inquisition essentially gets formed around your ability to do that, and that's what you kind of do. You go around fighting demons, closing these rifts, and trying to unite people and bring peace from, you know, this war that's been going on. Like I said, I like it, man. Oh, Okay, so I'm still missing one. What one am I missing? Yeah, I like it. I like your games. You know, Dragon Age 1 was very much more like Baldur's Gate 3 to compare it to a more recent game. It was very much a top-down, tactical, make sure you really position things properly, plan out your attacks. It wasn't necessarily turn-based, it was more kind of real-time, but you could pause and like have this tactical view of telling where your characters were to go, when to use their abilities, so you could combo things with your characters properly, and you could really what fucking one am I missing, dude? I got this one. I got the one at the beginning. I got the one right there. I got the one over here. Which one am I missing? There is only just one more that I'm missing. Which one am I missing? But yeah, so, and then 2 again kind of made it a little bit more faster paced. That still had kind of the top down, you know, tactical nature of it, but it was more faster paced, and 3 kind of did the same thing, but 3 just kind of like made the game on a grander scale. 3 kind of felt more like an MMO, honestly. It felt like a single player MMO. I think that's what people had the most problems with 3. Was like the way the quests were. It was very like wide open. How the quests were set up. The world was, you know, pretty vast and the areas are big, which is cool. That wasn't necessarily a problem. And there were a lot of things to explore, and a lot of times areas would be closed off and you have to come back to them later. Here it is. But just there were a lot of like fetch quests in the game. Go here, find this, give this to this person, kill a certain number of things and go to this person. And like it just felt MMO-y. Like they took the main story missions were kind of more like normal compared to, I guess, what Dragon Age had been. But all the side quests were very MMO fetch quests. And so it was like, it felt like they kind of just like randomly generated some of them or something to like extend the life of the game, if you want to say that, you know, to drag out the gameplay. Because it was a very long game. And then they also added the mechanics with, you know, sending out crew to explore different sites so you could then, you know, go do missions there, and I don't know. I still enjoyed it, but it definitely was in some ways it was a step forward from the second one, but in other ways it was a step back. But I don't know, from good lord, that's a lot of damage, brother. I love the music of this boss fight, by the way. Good night, sweet prince. But, what was I saying? I lost my train of thought as I was fighting the boss here. But oh yeah, so like, but seeing the trailer for this, it's like, the thing is, like, the DLC, it's been a long time since I played through Dragon Age 3. I actually remember 1 and 2 more than 3, honestly, just because of like how much content there was in 3. And I only really played through 3 like maybe twice because of it. There was a lot. Like 3 had a lot to do in it to beat, and it's a very long game, honestly, to play through. And it just got to the point where I had so many other things to do that I just never got back to it. Whereas 1 and 2 I played through several times, I think. Especially 2. I think I played through 2 the most, actually. But the DLC, you know, the way it ended and how it set up things for this Dragon Age was like, oh shit, they're gonna get into some crazy stuff. And you know, Dragon Age fans have been waiting essentially like what, 10 years, something like that. I think it's been. I think Dragon Age 3 came out in 2014 or 2015. So like literally 9-10 years since the last Dragon Age came out. So, and like I get that like times change, you know, so games have obviously changed and progressed, and they're trying to like keep up with that, but it's like, and granted, well, I mean, it's like I wanted to say, like, I know Baldur's Gate 3 just came out, so it's like you look at Baldur's Gate 3 and you see like how successful that was, but at the same time it's like, well, that game just came out, and so Dragon Age has been, you know, in development for a long time, blah blah blah. So it's like it's kind of an easy excuse to say, well, you know, you look at Baldur's Gate 3 and what they did, why couldn't they have continued Dragon Age that way? You know, you could sit there and say that, and like you could kind of defend it as like, well, you know, Baldur's Gate 3 just came out, you know, Dragon Age has been in development for a long time and gone through different, you know, iterations and teams, etc. So, but at the same time, Baldur's Gate 3 has been in development for like it was in early access where you only got like the first act, I think, for like 3 years, 4 years, right? So like, I don't know, you could at least see the potential and the fact that people are interested in it and that kind of game. So I don't know, to sit there and like argue against that is kind of hard. You please just swing your fucking sword and hit him. Like I think if they had stayed more with the Baldur's Gate style of game, especially on the back of Baldur's Gate, made, you know, a good story with good characters and interactions, it would have been successful. You know, or at least it would have been more well received, you know, because that's what people expect from a Dragon Age game. They expect that kind of style of gameplay. But when I look at the trailer, dude, like the first trailer where they're showing the characters, if I didn't know it was a Dragon Age game, I would have thought it was Overwatch. I literally would have thought it was like an Overwatch clone. Like, they're talking about the characters, a brief little kind of introduction about them. It's in this more kind of lighthearted, upbeat, semi-comical style. You know, you don't get the sense that there's great stakes involved, that the world is gonna end. Like, they're literally in a situation where, like, the world is ending, you know, like the very fabric of the world is changing. You have gods being awoken and trying to do things to change the planet. You know, this character is trying to, you know, like break the veil and remove the fade and things like that. And it's like, from the trailer, you don't get any kind of sense of any kind of urgency or, you know, issue. Like it's just like this upbeat, happy-go-lucky, you know, trailer, and, you know, they show the character and then like what kind of class the character is and blah blah blah, and again, it looked like it was an Overwatch clone kind of a trailer. But then, like, when you look at the gameplay, you know, at first, like, you see the environment, and the environment looks pretty good. I'm not gonna say it didn't look good, you know? It was just an issue of it kind of being dark, though. So it's like, okay, you're showing us kind of this dark environment with, it almost kind of looked like a fantasy version of like Blade Runner is kind of what it felt like to me. Like it really felt like fantasy Blade Runner is the best way I could put it. Like it was dark, raining out, kind of gloomy and glum, but it still had these kind of like bright neon light visuals and stuff like that of various colors. So like, yeah, it just gave me this kind of like Blade Runner-esque feel to it, but in a fantasy game. And so when I saw it, I was like, okay, that doesn't look terrible. You know, let's see gameplay. And then when you see gameplay, it's like, oh, this is some kind of generic. Yeah, we give him the armor from D. And then, yeah, he doesn't say anything else, but that furthers along Fia's quest line, doing that. But anyway, so like, it just like the combat in the game just looks extremely generic and safe. That's like the best way that I could like describe it. Like I want to, it looks like almost like the combat in like Assassin's Creed Valhalla when you're not doing like the sneaking stuff and you're just like fighting. Like I don't know, the AI only comes at you like one AI at a time. You know, comes at you. They only like do like one little attack at the time or cast one little spell at a time. You know, and it just is meant to look like flashy and make you feel like a badass, but when you look at it, like there's nothing really going on the screen, dude. Like the bots and AI aren't doing anything. They're just kind of sitting there staring at you. Like it just looks like basic and generic, and they're like trying to hide it around like this quote-unquote stylized artistic, you know, art style, if you want to say, which I'm also tired of. Like everyone just is using this that I don't know, the argument of it's stylized, to me I feel like is not a very good argument anymore, because everyone does it. Like this oversaturated color palette with this semi-cartoonish look, everyone does it. Like everyone does it now. And I understand from the devs' perspective, they're, you know, trying to again appeal to a as broad of an audience as possible. They want to make it look safe for the parents so that, you know, they'll allow their kids to play it, etc., etc. But at the same time, you also really have to say, like, okay, what is my audience? Is this really a game like the Dragon Age games with the themes they deal with? They're not really made for teenagers. They're made for adults. You know, you got themes of slavery and racism and you know, genocide and all kinds of shit. Like Baldur's Gate 3, again, that's not a game for children. Killed the first one before that even became a problem, which is fine. Okay. Yeah, so back to what I was saying. Like, Dragon Age games were never meant to be games for kids. They were meant to be, you know, adult themed games about subject matter that brought up things that would, you know, make you think and question, you know, certain moral. Yeah, it would bring up more dilemmas and it would make you like choose things on that level, you know? And yeah, it just from what I saw of the trailer, it's not Dragon Age. That's that simple. It's not a Dragon Age game, but it is what it is. I mean, I'll wait and I'll watch people play it, and then I'll judge it at that point. Like, as of right now, I have zero intention of purchasing the new Dragon Age game. And it's the same with the, you know, the new Assassin's Creed game. Like, the combat looks decent from what I saw in the trailers. But this whole idea of them like trying to sit there and rewrite history and say that these characters are one way or the other, and yeah, I don't know. I'm tired of like companies thinking they can do that and get away with it, and I don't know. It is what it is. I haven't really cared about Assassin's Creed in a while, honestly. Like, I mean, there's Odyssey. Like, Odyssey was the most recent Assassin's Creed game that I really enjoyed. Like, I really liked Odyssey. Of course, again, like, which is funny. Like, I love Greek and Norse mythology, as I've talked about a lot. And Odyssey, obviously, you know, got into a lot of Greek mythology and all that kind of stuff. But then, like, Valhalla, I did not really like at all. Valhalla felt like a step back. The combat was not very good. The AI was not very good. The story really did not intrigue me at all. Whereas with Odyssey, which came out beforehand, and Origins, which came out before that, which got into Egyptian stuff, I like both Origins and Odyssey. You know, the combat in both those games kind of really took. You still had the Assassin's Creed stealth gameplay, but then it also kind of incorporated somewhat Souls-like-ish combat into it. You know, and the AI in both those games didn't really feel bad. They felt aggressive enough to where they would actually kind of attack you and be challenging and would make you, you know, question decisions and think about how to attack certain situations. But in Valhalla, like, it just was not the case. It was literally like hit the button once and then like a death animation thing would play, kind of a situation. I don't know. It just, Valhalla was not it. And then before Origins and Odyssey, it was Black Flag. Black Flag was a lot. Like, I liked the first Assassin's Creed game. I really liked Altair. I honestly, you know, everyone loves Ezio. I didn't really care for Ezio that much, personally. I wanted to explore more of Altair and kind of more of the actual, I guess, origins of the Assassin's Creed and Templar story. You know, I mean, like, the Assassin's Creed originally started out as like, okay, there's this character Desmond. He's been quote unquote kidnapped by this group. They're you know, essentially showing him he's kidnapped by this group because his ancestors, you know, his bloodline is a bloodline of these Greek legendary assassins. You know, it starts off with Altair, and then it goes to Ezio, and like it progresses through these different times in history. You know, like his bloodline is tied with these assassins, and they're fighting the good fight against these Templars, and it gets into like stories of like aliens and religions being formed around aliens and all kinds of crazy stuff. But the general idea seemed to be that, you know, as the game progresses, or as the story progresses, you know, we'll learn more about Desmond and these historical things that happen, and then eventually it'll get into modern times, and we'll see like it's almost like these Assassin's Creed games are kind of like teaching Desmond how to be you know, the ultimate assassin by learning all the things that his ancestors have done, and to learn really the actual overall conflict, you know, of what's been going on with the assassins for the Templars, so he really knows what he's fighting for, all that kind of a situation. And eventually it would be brought into modern times, and we'd get an Assassin's Creed in modern times, you know, with Desmond being the main protagonist and not having to do the flashbacks and yada yada anymore. But I don't know what happened. I never played Assassin's Creed 3, the one that took place during the Revolutionary War, I think, which I think a lot of people did really like, and I like the character, but I just never played it because I didn't really care for like Ezio and that. I just was like, I'm good. But yeah, I think I'm pretty sure they killed Desmond off in that one, because after that I think it's just all been you know, different character, you know, since then. But dropping bombs on them, baby. But yeah, so I don't know. I just kind of I really lost interest in it. Then Black Flag came out, and I don't remember what got me to buy it. I think it's just that I watched someone stream it. I don't remember who. Maybe it was just Lyric. But it looked good, so I got it, and I got really into it. I really like Black Flag. I like the combat in Black Flag. I really like the naval aspect of it, the sailing. Like, it was a good game. I really like Black Flag and all the stuff they did with it. Then all the Assassin's Creed kind of that came up in between were like riddled with issues. Like, they just weren't good. They had all kinds of bugs and problems and everything. They seemed very generic, kind of copy paste of themselves, just in a different setting. You know, basically all the issues that Ubisoft games have nowadays. You know? Then they reset the Assassin's Creed series with Origins and then Odyssey, and both of those were good. And then, I don't know, Valhalla. And now we've got, you know, what we currently have. And it's just, it's funny and ironic that people have been wanting an Assassin's Creed place. They've been wanting an Assassin's Creed game that took place in Japan, you know, in the, you know, samurai ninjutsu, you know, time period, their kind of medieval time period with, you know, again, you know, samurais, ninjas, etc. And, you know, instead of making a story based around potentially a historical, you know, real Japanese man, they're using this story about, you know, Yasuke, who was a Japanese retainer. You know, he was never actually really a samurai, never really fought. You know, he is a retainer to Oda Nobunaga, I believe, who only really kind of had interest in him because he'd never seen a black man before, I think. And so it fascinated him, and I guess something happened though, and like he liked him. I don't remember the full story, but it's something along those lines where like he did something and it got his attention. Obo Nobu, I can't see his name right now. Obo Nobu. I don't know, my brain isn't working right now. I said his name a second ago, but now for whatever reason I can't pronounce it. Oda Nobunaga. There we go. So I don't know. It is what it is, but like I just have no real interest in it again. Like, some of the combat looks interesting. but it's like it looks like it takes from Ghost of Tsushima, so it's like if I really want that style of combat, I'll just play Ghost of Tsushima because I have that game. You know? I don't know. I don't know, man. It is what it is. But there's really aren't a whole lot of games coming out anytime recently that I have any real interest in. You know, it's like there's the DLC for this, and then there's the... You missed me, bitch. There's a DLC for this, the Space Marine 2, and then like I said, that I think it's called Avowed. That it looks kind of like, you know, it's a first-person fantasy kind of Skyrim-esque game. I don't know. I'm not completely sold on it, but I have my eye on it. It's going to be another one of the, like, I don't pre-order games anymore. Unless it's a FromSoft game, I really don't pre-order games anymore. I wait and, you know, watch some people stream it and see what the actual gameplay looks like and judge it from there and see if it's worth my time or not. And I mean, the other issue is that most games nowadays, especially AAA games that come out, like, they're riddled with problems, man. And it's usually not for a few months, potentially, before they're really in a playable state. Like, you look at Starfield. Starfield had a bunch of problems, and I mean, I guess it still has problems. Again, Ubisoft and a lot of their Assassin's Creed games in the past have had problems. You look at Cyberpunk and its launch. Like, Cyberpunk is a really good game now and is in a really good state now, but, you know, if they had launched now with the game the way it is, it would have been like wildly more successful than it is now. Or than, yeah. But, you know, they had to get it out when they got it out, I guess. And it had all kinds of problems. I think part of the issue was the fact that they were trying to still release a game like that on like PS4 era hardware, and like, that doesn't work, man. Like, a game like that ain't gonna work on the PS4. And obviously, they figured that out when they were like, you know what? This DLC ain't coming out on the PS4 hardware, man. We can't do it. So, I mean, like, yeah, I don't pre-order games anymore, man, unless it's from a game company that I 100% trust, that I know is gonna make a good game, and that I have good faith in that they will, if they have bugs, they will fix them in as timely manner as possible. Like, I think Elden Ring had some issues on the consoles when it first launched, but I think it quickly got fixed. What the fuck is this? I hear it, but I don't see it. You up here? You are up here. That sounds like whoop-de-doo. Well, I'm dead. Yeah, it's like, it's really gotten to a point with like both games and movies and whatnot where you need to prove to me that it's worth my time. You need to prove to me that it's worth my time and my money to invest in you and what you're making. Before I even spend $1 or spend a minute getting into it. Like, you know, I grew up, you know, switching over, kind of like talking about movies now, but like, I grew up going to the theater like all the time. You know, my dad and I were big movie buffs. My dad was a big movie person, and so, you know, growing up as a kid, we were always at the theater. Like, I saw Jurassic Park, the first one, in the theater when that came out in like '93. I think we saw it in the theater like 12 times. Like, it was literally like every week, if not even like maybe twice, you know, not necessarily the same day, but like we might go like on a Friday afternoon, go see it, and then maybe on a Saturday or Sunday, we'd go see another movie sometimes, you know, depending on what movies were coming out at that time. And I mean, of course, there's also like, things were more affordable then. You know, going to see a movie was like, even during peak time and hours, you know, it was still only like $5 a ticket, you know what I mean? And snacks weren't expensive like they are now. Like, I personally haven't been to a movie theater in 10-ish or so years, I think. The last movie, I've talked about this before a couple times, I think, but last movie I saw in the theaters was X-Men First Class. That's the last movie I saw in the theaters with a buddy of mine. And I think that came out in like 2011. That's been more than 10 years since I've seen a movie in the theater. And like, I really don't miss the theater experience nowadays in comparison. Like, I'm sure going to see stuff in IMAX, like there's certain movies that are probably worth it. You know, I do regret that I was not able to go see Godzilla -1 in theaters. I'm sure going to see that in IMAX would have been a great experience. You know, I don't think any of the theaters around me had any of the Lord of the Rings extended versions out in like IMAX or whatever. Otherwise, I probably would have done my best to try to go see them in the theater. I mean, I remember seeing them in the theater when they first came out, but you know, again, going to experience the extended editions in IMAX, Lord of the Rings movies would be worth it. You know, like experiences like that, I can understand. But the general movie experience nowadays, again, it's just not worth the time and asking price anymore for the type of content that is being made. It just isn't. You know, when it's $15 for what, like a matinee, that's like the non-peak, you know, showings. You know, when you're getting the discount price and it's $15 for a single ticket, and then they sit there and like, hey, you know, we got this combo deal for a large popcorn and a large drink. It's $45. It's only $45. Like, like, what are you smoking? What the fuck kind of crack are you smoking, dude? Where you're gonna sit there and tell me that a large bucket of movie theater popcorn and a large soda is worth a $45 price tag? Like, how much popcorn and how much soda can I go to Costco and buy for that price? You know what I mean? And then the thing is too, is with all the various streaming services that are out here now, just wait like 3 weeks to a month. Literally just wait 3 weeks to a month. And you can enjoy it on whatever streaming service in the comfort of your own home. And most streaming services cost, you know, $8 to $10 a month. Depending on, you know, the various other bullshit they're trying to tack on now to get as much money out of you as possible, you know. If you want to watch it in 4K, it's an extra charge. If you want to add other members to your plan, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's like, whatever, dude. Bro, fuck off with your messages. Just let me pick up the fucking item. But yeah, between all these AAA companies making garbage ass games and all these movie industry, you know, the movie industry making garbage ass movies and TV shows. It's like, you gotta prove to me that it's worth my time and money anymore to invest in your shit, you know. Now let's get over here. Hit this and we'll go in here and fight Fia's champions. But yeah, and then the other thing is like there's really no multiplayer like FPS games right now that I have like really any interest in, man. I mean, like, it sucks. Like, you know, growing up in the era, I mean, it's cool growing up in the era that I did. There's a lot of cool shit, you know. I got to see the beginning of essentially gaming and whatnot, and I really feel like I lived during, or I kind of grew up during the golden age of gaming with, you know, the consoles that I got, going from essentially, the very first console that we had was actually, you know, the Atari 2600 or 800 or whatever it was, and then the NES, and then going from that to, you know, Genesis and Super Nintendo and etc, etc. The fuck guy. And then going to, you know, GameCube, and I never got a Dreamcast. I never had a Sega Saturn, but my uncle did. I played some of the games that he had. Some of the games in the Sega Saturn were okay. But I never, like, the Dreamcast, like, kind of came out and died before I was able to really like, get one. So, never had a Dreamcast. But, you know, PS1 GameCube era, or not GameCube, N64 era. That was sick, man. Great games, you know, Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy Tactics, Metal Gear Solid, dude. So many great games. Mario Kart 64, dude. Yeah. Like, continuing my thought now that I've got through that, like, going from that stuff, but also just, like, the computer, like, seeing the PC games evolve, you know? Growing up, playing Wolfenstein 3D, the old Doom games, or Doom, not Dune. And then, you know, the Command and Conquer games, man. Classic fucking game, like, the RTS genre in general. Like, I miss games like the Command and Conquer games. I miss games like, you know, StarCraft and StarCraft 2, and like StarCraft 2 is really kind of the only RTS game to fall back on, and I never really like cared about playing them like multiplayer competitively. I like playing the games in general and just the story. Like, I love the Command and Conquer stories, man. You know, the Tiberium Dawn and Tiberian Sun and Tiberian War stories with, you know, GDI and Nod and Kane, and then eventually the Skrin coming in. But then also, of course, you know, Red Alert games with, you know, the Allies, and them turning it into kind of like a Saturday morning, like, you know, one of those Saturday morning kind of what-if scenario shows. you know, kind of this like campy semi-comedy, but also somewhat taking itself seriously, you know, kind of things with Yuri's Revenge and, you know, Tim Curry and all these actors and whatnot, and they were just great games. They were just great games. And then Command & Conquer Generals was a great game too. You know, kind of took the Command & Conquer series in a different direction, but it was good. And I don't know, man, I Command & Conquer 4 was really a letdown. I did not really enjoy it as much. It was okay. And then I like turning Command & Conquer to a mobile game, like, okay, dude.
Ah, there you are. I knew you would come. What is it you intend? To deny us and our ways, like the dogmatic brutes of the Golden Order? You are an odd one. I am the guardian of those who live in death. They call me a foul and rotten witch. Yet you still wish to be held by me?
Yeah. Who doesn't want to have a nice hug every now and then, you know what I'm saying? I'll continue my thoughts here once we get through these interactions.
Have you ever seen a Hallowbrand? When the first of the demigods died, his flesh was marked with the half-wheel wound of the centipede. Godwyn's Hallowbrand has since been recovered at the Round Table Hold, but there is another Hallowbrand out there somewhere, and I must find it before the time comes we receive our Lord. When Godwyn died, I had another exists, and I must find before the time comes my hands will be dirtied once more by the deed. Will you still let me hold you? When God had another and I must before the
Hey, we gotta get that from Ronnie though.
When God had another
Okay, so there's nothing else to talk about. We'll reset the area and talk to her again just to be sure, but essentially let's finish Ronnie's quest line, get the curse mark, and bring it back to her. Then once we do that, we can then fight the death dragon. That I guess is supposed to be the reincarnation of Godwyn. Want to make sure we don't have any more dialogue.
When Godwyn had another
okay.
and I must before the time.
Okay. But so yeah, so back to my thoughts. You know, what I was gonna say is it sucks in a certain way of like growing up in the era that I did with some of the games that I did and like kind of being spoiled with them, but in particular with shooter games nowadays, like, you know, growing up experiencing, you know, Counter-Strike from when it was in like a mod, but like when it was still kind of like, you know, like 97, 98 when it was a mod for Half-Life 1, and then playing every iteration of that up till now. The Call of Duty games, you know, playing those games from their inception and seeing what they are now and just how many of them there are, blah, 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 and it's like what they've turned into. And but then also on top of that, like, just the problems with cheating and exploits and everyone like taking it so fucking serious, man. Like I get that nowadays, like who wants to work a fucking 9-to-5 job for someone else and make them rich when you can, like, if you're good at shooter games, you know, streaming on Twitch or whatever and making a living doing that. And like not only just like a living, but like making a living, you know, being fairly wealthy to the point where you potentially, anyway, you can potentially get to the point where, you know, you don't have to worry about money that much, kind of a situation, you know, if you really make it. So like, I get it. And of course, people will do whatever they can to do that, you know, with cheating and exploits and all that kind of shit. But then there's also people that just cheat and do that shit just to do that, just to make people miserable and, you know, just to do that because they're shitty people. You know what I mean? And but the flip side of it is just like how little companies seem to do about it. Or I mean, I guess like it's starting to become more of a thing. Like, you know, the one big W we've had from Activision recently is them, you know, winning that lawsuit against a company that makes cheats, and the court ruling in favor of Activision, and Activision getting money and taking over the domain. And I think the technology is behind them making those cheats. I mean, like, that's a big W. You know, we need stuff like that happening, but you know, I've said it before, but I really don't even care to play Apex anymore because of how often you run into cheaters and exploiters in that game. You know, like even in the quote-unquote for fun modes, like the team deathmatch or control modes, or like the modes that don't necessarily mean anything, and you know, they're just there to like have fun and do something else to break up the monotony of just grinding the BR over and over again and ranked over and over again. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like, what are you doing? Like, what? Like, for real, what are you doing? Did I not get the doll? Did I get Ronnie's doll? Isn't something we're supposed to pick up like right around here? Thought I got it from her. Am I crazy? Yeah, like, you know, trying to play Apex nowadays with all the issues, like, what's the point? And it's not just like Apex, it's like it's every game. What is going on? Why? Like, maybe I have more dialogue here that I have to exhaust, but it's like literally every game. Like Escape from Tarkov, you know, it's like 60% supposedly. I don't know how true it is, but you know, it's an estimated that 60% of the raids you go in, there's gonna be someone cheating. And I mean, I would believe it. It doesn't surprise me. And like every week, you know, you look at, you know, PUBG, and every week they post their number of you know, accounts banned, and it's usually like 150 to close to 200,000.
Not blithe, it seemeth.
Okay, I do have to talk to her.
It is in thy possession, is it not? The hidden treasure of Nokron. My thanks. Finally, all the pieces are in place. Soon must I begin my journey. Upon the dark path only I may tread.
I forgot that you had to come back here and give her the knife. I forgot about that.
Ah, but before I leave, I must entrust thee with this. Take it. My discarded flesh lieth beyond the seal unlocked by it, upon which is carved the curse mark of thy desire. I can fathom what thy purpose might be. Neither of us is welcomed by the brighter path. I see. You may leave now. It was but brief, but thou gavest me fine service. What is it? Thy purpose in approaching me was to obtain the curse mark, was it not? You may leave now. I too am to depart on a journey. Upon the dark path only I may tread. What is it? Thy purpose in approach.
That's all she had to say. I forgot you had to come back and give her the knife in order to move on to the next part. But actually, yeah, we can go down to the Ronnie's Divine Tower and do that now and go get the curse mark, and then we can go finish Via's quest, actually. I guess we'll do that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Theirs isn't like a shooter game really that like there isn't a shooter game that really grabs me and makes me want to like play it for an extended period of time. You know what I mean? Like, O celestial globe, transmit to prosperity the wisdom of the moon of stars, and obscure forever the transgressions of the princess. What? Oh, celestial globe transmit to posterity wisdom of the moon and stars. And obscure forever the transgressions of the princess. Interesting. This is supposed to be the world that we're on? No, this is the moon. Right? I think it's the moon. Thing would stop fucking zooming in. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be the moon. Yeah, okay. But I mean, yeah, like, I don't know, man. Like, I enjoy playing Tarkov, don't get me wrong. It's a good game. But I also... It's like a game that I can play for a certain amount of time, and then I just kind of get bored of it. Like... I understand that there's a ton of stuff, different things to do in Tarkov. You know, there's questing to do. You can just, you know, go out and try to hunt people down in PvP. You can just run around and try to just kill bots if you want to. Go boss hunting, you know, questing, go looting for various things, sell in the marketplace, etc., etc. Like, there's a ton of stuff to do, but like, at the end of the day, when I'm playing an FPS game, it's because like I want to fight people, and part of the big problem is like, A, trying to find people to fight, you know, trying to like actually find fights in that game. But then it's also like most of the people you find to fight, they're like, there's like fucking bushwhackers, man, you know. They don't want to aggress. And like, really most of it really feels like in most extraction games, Punch Showdown, Tarkov, most shooters in general nowadays, it really feels like they punish aggression. Like, it's more advantageous to sit and listen and wait for the other person to make the mistake than it is to like actually push someone, be aggressive, and try to force them to make a mistake. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty much what the gameplay and a lot of the shooters are nowadays. And for me, I get bored with that. Like, I want to be aggressive. Like, I like to be aggressive and to force people into situations and to force people to make mistakes or have to think and do things, and like, it's not really how games work anymore. Fuck you and your stupid fucking shit. I'll just knife the shit out of you. I don't know. Like, Valorant is another pretty good example. Like, I've said this a bunch of times. I think Valorant's a good game. I don't think it's a good competitive game. And, you know, why it's very good, or has done a good job, you know, in League, and now in Valorant, because obviously Valorant is a successful game. There's strong esports scene with Valorant, and there's definitely plenty of people that play it on a daily basis. You know, they've done a good job of both lowering the skill floor and ceiling. You know, they're closing the skill gap. There's still a skill gap. There's enough of a skill gap to where it's like, yeah, this person is better than this person, or this person's better than me, or I'm better than this person, and you know, etc., etc. You can still see a skill difference in the game, but the difference in that in Valorant versus Counter-Strike is vastly greater in Counter-Strike. Like, I don't know. I just feel like the systems in League are set up to like purposely restrict things and to force certain kinds of gameplay. Like, or not League, Valorant. I mean, League's kind of the same way, I guess, but like when you look at it, like the movement of your character in Counter-Strike is much faster than in Valorant. Like it's noticeably slower. The mouse movement feels slower and stiffer in Valorant 2 than it does in Counter-Strike. I don't know, that might just be a game engine thing though. That might not necessarily be like something specific with how the devs have made the game, or it could be. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But the mouse movement also does feel stiffer and not quite as smooth as Counter-Strike. So I feel like it also kind of, it's harder to get like strong flicks consistently, but at the same time, like I'm sure if I played enough Valorant, my muscle memory would get used to it and it would be fine. But right now with how I've played it, like it's something that would take me some time to get used to. But you know, because of how much slower your characters move and because of how much easier it is to get headshots in Valorant, that forces you to have to use abilities, and in particular relying on other teammates to use their abilities properly and to work together. Like they've set it up to try to force more team play and force utilization of your character abilities, whereas in Counter-Strike, like there's no abilities in Counter-Strike. You know, it's all you know, grenades. You know, everyone can buy mollies, smokes, flashes, regular grenades, etc. Everyone can have them, you know, as long as you've made enough money. So, you know, you in Counter-Strike, it's still like the thing to me that makes Counter-Strike such a great esport, and I've said this for years, is like when you play it at a high enough level, like it feels as close to like a normal like sport than any other game that I've played. It's a team-based sport. You need to play together as a team, but individuals really can make a difference and can carry a team to victory. Like that happens in professional sports all the time. Like you have, you know, how many NFL teams, how many NBA teams, how many soccer teams, etc. are, you know, carried on the backs of these great professional players. Like how many times of, you know, the Cavs won or whoever because of LeBron, or how many times have the Lakers won on the backs of Kobe and Shaq, and if they didn't have Kobe or Shaq, they wouldn't have been able to, you know, like things like that. How many times have Tom Brady, you know, the Patriots have been able to get to the Super Bowl and won as many times as they have without Tom Brady. Like, Bill Belichick's a great coach, but Brady's also a great quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, would he have been able, would Belichick without Tom Brady, would he have been able to still win those, you know, Super Bowls like he did and have the Patriot dynasty that it had, et cetera, et cetera? You know what I mean? Like, you can have that in Counter-Strike where you have a team of good players, but you might have one team of really good players and then another team with decent players, but they have one player in particular who is just a phenomenal player. And he's clearly better than everyone else on the enemy team, and he's able to pull out victories because of that. You know? Like, there aren't many other esports where that occurs, you know. I mean, and this is just my personal opinion. I still to this day, like, Counter-Strike and StarCraft 2 are really the two games, in my opinion, that are actual, like, real esports. Because Counter-Strike, because of the things that I just said. And then, I mean, like, when you look at high level StarCraft play, man. Like the actions per minute and how they're like everything they're keeping track of, everything they're managing and micromanaging, like it's insane, man. Like how quickly they can do that, the decision making, how much they're keeping track of stuff, and like it's a sport. Like if chess is a sport, then StarCraft 2 is like, you can't like deny that. So like I don't know, and then that's why, like, coming from the Counter-Strike background, like I don't feel like, again, Valorant is a good game, but I don't feel like it's a good competitive game, because I feel like Valorant really takes away a lot of that. Like, Valorant promotes more team play, but it also takes away a lot more of the individual's ability to do things. And that's not saying that there's not the potential to do that. You know, I mean, like, you look at Tens and, you know, his op skills and things like that, and he definitely has been a big factor in Sentinels and, you know, them doing things, and other players, you know what I mean? It's like there's definitely players out there who make a difference and, you know, change the game essentially. But I don't feel like it's on the same level as Counter-Strike. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if I'm not like, I don't know if I'm like articulating, explaining things very well, but yeah, I don't know. I guess like my long-winded talk about this as I'm playing through this is just talk about like, there's coming from, you know, growing up with Counter-Strike and playing it like I did, and you know, granted it was a different time, you know, back in the early 2000s, you know, esports wasn't really a thing, at least not in America. It was extreme. It was at its extreme infancy at the time. You know what I mean? And so like they were just starting to have LAN tournaments for like Quake and Unreal Tournament, and some StarCraft stuff was happening, but it was really like European countries had some stuff going on with Counter-Strike, I think, and then of course, you know, StarCraft was a pretty big thing in Korea at the time. And you know, it was really just like local things. There were some like local tournaments you would have at like community colleges or various things that some people put together with, you know, maybe doing $100 or get a gift certificate or something like that to something, you know what I mean? So like I played in things like that down here for Counter-Strike and Quake and Unreal Tournament and stuff like that. I never played anything for StarCraft because I just wasn't that, I enjoyed it, and I just wasn't that good at StarCraft, but you know, for shooters I was. And so like I can say at the time that I for sure was, you know, at my prime in Counter-Strike, was playing at the highest level, at pretty much at the highest level. I mean, I never really played, like I said, in like any kind of real serious quote unquote esport tournaments, you know? So I can never say that I really did that, but I've played in tournaments, and I've played against people supposedly who played in some of those serious tournaments, and I can safely say that I was better than them. At that time anyway. Now, you know, I haven't, obviously, I'm older. I don't, you know, I don't really play to be like the best anymore. Like I still want to improve and get better, but I mostly really just play to have fun. And especially again with how like the industry is now and with everything, like it's really hard to take games seriously like I used to. Like it just is, with all the cheating and all the exploits and all the things going on that happen in games. It's just hard to take it like seriously, and it's just like, whatever, man, you know? So I don't know. All of that is to really say, like, you know, it's difficult for me to like really find a shooter nowadays to get into because of all that, you know? Like I want something, like I grew up playing sports. I played soccer from the age of 4, and then I started playing football when I was like 10 or 11, and I played both of them until high school. until I injured my neck in high school playing football, and then stopped playing football because of that. But I still played high school or soccer through high school. But then, like, you know, once graduating, like growing up, being a competitive person and playing sports, once you got done with high school and not going into like college, it's like, okay, it's kind of difficult to find something sports wise to do and to get that like competitive side out. And so that's where that's why I really got into, you know, gaming and stuff like that.
Most thanks. With this,
You know,
Godwin
any after
can
this.
take his rightful place as first of the dead and claim a second illustrious life. You are our true champion. And though I can't be of any use to you, can I hold you tight? If only for a moment.
Absolutely.
I will soon lay with Godwin, and it will surely stir within me the new life of the Golden Prince, and first dead of the demigods, as the rune of those who live in death. Please, do one thing for me. Brandish this child, my rune, and take for yourself the throne. Stay the persecution of those who live in death by becoming our Elden Lord. I will soon to conceive. Brandish,
Okay,
stay the
nothing else.
becoming.
But yeah, I got kind of really into gaming to kind of like appease that competitive side, because I'm still a competitive person and I want to be competitive and I enjoy, you know, being competitive. And then mostly nowadays with gaming, it's more of kind of me competing in myself and wanting to improve, like seeing my flaws and mistakes in games and trying to improve them. And just, you know, seeing where I can get, like, that's really what I did with like Apex and ranking up with that, was really just seeing where I could get. I can confidently say that I know I could be masters in Apex if I really, you know, wanted to, if I took the time. And like, that's the issue, is just finding the time to actually sit down and grind enough to get the masters. I probably could get Apex Predator if I really took the time to grind it out at the beginning of the season. I probably could. I'm not saying I'd get like high up in Apex Predator, but I could make it in. I could probably make it in the top. I think it's top 750 now, right? It's either top 700 or 750. It used to be top 500, but I think they changed it to top 700 or 750 even. I probably could in Apex if I wanted to, if I really wanted to grind to get it. And again, it would also depend on, there's RNG factors, you know, how well the squad mates, you know, because I would be doing it solo. I don't really have anyone else that plays it with me. So it would be a situation of, you know, the randoms that I play with, how good are they? You know, how good can we play together? How good can we communicate? And do they want to actually play, or do they want to just sit there and farm points and not actually really play?
I choose to lie with Godwin of my own will, not the remains of one chosen for me, and I will bear a child who will inherit your warmth too.
Okay.
What greater blessing could there be but to be born a deathbed companion? This is goodbye, but I am satisfied. I choose to lie, and I will who will inherit. What greater?
Okay, then we gotta go reset again. And I think she's in a dream that we enter. Yeah, I mean, anyway, I like all this has like been to just long-winded conversation, just to come to say that like there isn't any shooters really out there that interest me, man. Like, I don't care about Fortnite, you know. As much as I loved PUBG when it was in its prime, it's a game that is a has-been, essentially, you know. I mean, it's fun to go back to every now and then, but it's like every other game. It's full of cheats and exploits. You know, they ban 100 and whatever plus thousand accounts weekly. You know, Apex is full of cheats and exploits and has really kind of become a controller game. So like aim assist is extremely strong in that. And if you're not playing that game with a controller like Call of Duty, you know, you're kind of really handicapping yourself. There's Rainbow Six Siege, which again, I haven't really played, and I mean, it looks interesting, but at the same time, that game seems more about map knowledge and utilization of your utility than actual like gunplay. Like gunplay seems very secondary in that game, in comparison to knowing the angles, knowing what angles to hold, where people are going to be coming from, where to put holes and things like that, so that you have an advantage over someone that's coming up from a certain direction, where to put your gadgets and how to properly utilize your gadgets and utility, all that kind of stuff. You know, that's what the game seems more about than actual shooting. It's kind of more of like an FPS chess game, you know, at higher levels than it is actual like shooting. Valorant, like I said, I like Valorant. I just don't think it's a great competitive game. And coming from a Counter-Strike background, I just can't really get into it as much. Like, I enjoy playing it every now and then, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like a game that I could sit there and grind, you know, hours and hours for rank. Like, I just can't. It's just how it is. And so it's like, I don't have another shooter out there at the moment. Tarkov, like I said, I enjoy Tarkov, but I end up getting bored after a while playing that game, because I just do. Like, I want a game where like I'm focused on fighting people and not just running around looking for things to do, looking for things to loot, looking for people to fight, you know, trying to do quests or whatever. Like, I also like, that's one ugly motherfucker. Like, the one thing with Godwin, just to go off topic here, it's like, is this what he really looked like? You know what I mean? Is this what he really looked like? Or did he get mutated from being stabbed by the knife? You know what I mean? Like, is this actually what they really look like, and the humanoid forms they have are just an illusion? You know? Is that kind of like the thing that's going on? Is this like a Zeus thing? Where, you know, America and all these, you know, gods, demigods, they, you know, hide their real appearance and make themselves look like humans, interact with us and do things. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, clearly he's some kind of like, I mean, he looks like a fish creature, right? He looks like some kind of like, that's his head, his chest. It's almost like a merman, almost like, you know, that's like the fish tail part of it, whatever it's called. And then his hand, you know, his arms kind of tied into the tree there. Obviously he's got flies all around him. I guess, like, is that brown stuff there supposed to be like matted hair or something? I think it's supposed to be like matted hair. Like, I don't know. And then he's got like death root coming all out through him. Never really kind of like took the time to really look through and study Godwin here before. But anyway, back to what I was saying with Tarkov. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I want a game where I just get in and like the focus is fighting people, you know? I just want to fight people. I don't want to have to sit there and run around for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, looking for people to fight, hearing stuff happening. By the time I get there, they're gone. They're nowhere to be found. Or they're just sitting in a corner somewhere or sitting in a bush somewhere. They've heard my footsteps coming and, you know, I die before I even see them because they were just sitting in a spot ambush, you know, waiting to ambush me, because that's just what they've been doing the whole game. They've literally just been like sitting in one spot waiting, and like that shit just frustrates me. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, like, in general, as far as shooters go, I don't like games that have like large gear disparity. You know what I mean? Like, I want the game, I want the fight to be more based on who was the better shooter, you know, who outplayed someone, either their, whoever had the better reaction time, whoever had the better aim, or who had the better idea and outplayed someone. Like, that's what I want from a shooter. I'm more than capable of accepting, you know, okay, that person was just better than me. They outplayed me, they outshot me, you know, they had a better reaction time, I was in a bad position, they, you know, etc., etc. I'm more than willing to be like, okay, I made a mistake, and, you know, cool, I lost the fight. Because that's how you learn and you get better. And I feel like that's also a big problem with a lot of shooters nowadays, is that, like, there isn't that kind of idea. You know, there isn't like, okay, this is what happened, let me learn from it so I don't do that in the future. Most of the time, it doesn't feel like that. Especially with, like, Apex. It's another thing that frustrates me with Apex. It's like Apex cover, like, there isn't really cover that you can, like, utilize properly to, like, defend yourself or outplay others in the game. You know what I mean? Like, the best utilization of cover, honestly, is just using doors properly to, like, open a door, shoot, close a door before they can shoot you back. Force them to try to break down the door so you can get an advantage where they're stuck in that kind of animation, or, you know, if they're holding the door, throwing your grenade to force them back so they can get out of position so you can get some shots on them or something like that. It's pretty much really it, mostly for cover. The only other time, like, cover ever kind of, like, gets utilized is in, like, long range engagements where you're sniping someone, you hit them a couple times, you don't down them, now they're behind something and they're healing, and you don't have a way of getting to them to, like, press your advantage, you know? So it's like a pointless engagement other than you made them waste resources, which potentially could affect them later in the circle, depending on whether, you know, depending on where you're at in the game, you know? So I don't know, it's just like most games nowadays as well. It's not, it's most fights, it feels like it comes down to, like, did my registration work better than his registration? You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to explain, but, like, a lot of times you see someone, you see them first, you feel like you have the advantage, you start shooting, and then shortly after they start shooting you back, and it's like, okay, now it's just praying to see whose bullets register better, or whose recoil RNG is better, and, you know, that's just it. And then most BRs in particular, it becomes a scenario of, okay, we just killed these guys, we have to hurry up, loot, and heal, because we're about to get third party. Because third party is just, that's just like the thing to do, man. You wait to hear people fighting, and you try to clean up after and take the loot. Like, that's just it. Anyway, I guess let me rest here. Do I have souls to use before I get into this fight? It's been a long-winded conversation about a lot of stuff, and I've kind of just been sitting here talking to myself, you know. Therapy session for myself as I'm playing Elden Ring. I'm not worried about souls there. All right. So, I mean, all of that is to, again, say, like, there aren't any really multiplayer shooters that are coming out anytime soon that really kind of seem to have any kind of interest in me, either. At least none that are, like, AAA kind of games. Like, there's the Arena Breakout Infinite. That's just, you know, not quite as serious as Tarkov, which is fine. I'm down with that. Didn't it? One of the things about this fight, it's like, it's hard to fucking see sometimes. Get out of the death. Over-leveled. I'm just over-leveled. That's what it comes down to. Over-leveled, and I'm doing stupid damage to him with my fucking fireball. Like, doing like 2,000 damage a hit, so it's like... Is what it is. It's definitely usually a more challenging fight, but... This is the first time I've fought him this late in the game. I usually do Ronnie's quest much earlier on. So... Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so like, I don't know, Arena Breakout Infinite is a game that I'm kind of interested in, but again, I don't know, the issues of gear is what bothers me with that stuff.
Prince of Death, take a good long look. See the wrath of the Golden Order, the Order's justice writ in blood. This is what's become of your precious witch. Naught but expired meat and bone. This is a proper death, oh Prince. Look at this rotten whore. No more children can be got from this useless flesh. Behold, your mother is dead. This is revenge, you witch, and you ghoul. This is the wrath of D.
Yeah, this is the guy that we saw earlier before we fought the gargoyles. The dude who was like bent over, like kind of going crazy. Yeah, this is him. We have the armor to him. I'm curious. I've always just right here exhausted his dialogue and then just fought and killed him to get the armor and shit back. But I'm curious if there's anything else you're supposed to do or not do with him here. Let me just look this up real quick. You can fight his twin brother just for, oh yeah. Oh, where you fight the gargoyles, use armor. Not inflict damage will be given to the brother if you do so, and then reload the area, and blah 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 blah. Ultimately, you can kill D. First location, give the armor to his brother after reloading the area of the game. Use brother roll, blah blah blah. Doesn't say anything. Over on this tournament on festival is a trigger to make Via give the player. Okay. Part of the quest cannot be completed after reaching Fair Missoula. Interesting. So you can kill D and then give his brother D's armor. But if you do that and you reload the area, then his brother will just become aggressive to you and fight you. Doesn't say anything else. Beating the boss of the village, blah blah blah. We've spoken to him, blah blah blah. We summoned for the Black Knight Assassin, Black Knight Catacombs, and the Tibia Manor. Doesn't say anything else, yeah. Most of the time, like I said, I just exhaust his dialogue and then fight him to kill him and get his armor back and his ball bearing or whatever, so I guess we'll just probably do that.
Hello. The rotten witch is dead. The Golden Order unsullied. Now I can look my brother Darian in the eye. Honeyed rays of gold, deliver my spirit. Darian, now I have no regrets. Honeyed rays of...
Okay, so let me reset the area here. Oh, so he's gone now, huh? Oh. He drops everything. Interesting. So you don't have to fight him and kill him. Usually I exhaust his dialogue right there and I just attack him and then fight him and kill him when he drops that shit. Well, okay. I guess missed out on a slight bit of souls. Alright, well. So yeah, that's that quest line we now have the curse mark, so at the end we can add that to the Elden Ring. So. Yeah, I mean, if you guys have any, you know, shooters that are coming out that seem of interest to you, let me know, I guess. I've been looking for something to play and get into, you know what I mean? But I haven't really found anything that has kept my interest. It was fun going back to PUBG with the old Erangel update. That's another issue with PUBG, like going from, you know, they put out the old Erangel, like the original Erangel map, and they used the old recoil system in the game, and like it's so much better than what the recoil is. The recoil is insane in PUBG now, like it really is. Guns just fly everywhere, and it makes the combat so much more random, like it really does. And it becomes not enjoyable. And it's like when you have to up your vertical mouse sensitivity slider, like you have to move that up in order to compensate for the recoil that's naturally in the game. Like that's a problem, man. You know what I mean? So like I hope they were using it as like a test to like see what people thought about it, and are going to implement that or make like some big changes to the recoil of that of PUBG, because I know they're porting PUBG over to UE5, which could allow them to do a lot more things with the game, and I'm pretty excited about that too, you know. You know, them moving it over to Unreal 5, and hopefully they can use that again. They can make some changes to the recoil. They could make some changes to the movement so it's not quite so weird and stiff. You know, there's a lot of things they can do to update that with Unreal 5 and maybe breathe some more life back in the game. But honestly, I wish they would just make PUBG 2, like, you know what I mean? Instead of porting that over, just make a new version of PUBG with some newer mechanics and, you know, maybe port them. Really? It's still not enough, dude? Yeah, I'd rather see that than them just like porting it over to Unreal 5, but it is what it is. This is what we're getting. So who knows? That'll breathe some life into the game. Hunt Showdown's also having the same thing. I haven't really been playing Hunt Showdown that much recently, but they have a new version of their engine coming out in August, and they're also doing a lot of updates to that game. So I'll probably be jumping back in Hunt Showdown once that happens, and I think they're going to be doing a lot more rebalancing with things. They've talked about rebalancing with the character's health and health chunks and how that works. I think they're going to be retooling and rebalancing long ammo and some of the special ammo in the game. So I think they're doing like some major like overhauling of Hunt Showdown and its game mechanics and things like that. I hope they still kind of keep the Counter-Strike aspect of, you know, hit shots being pretty much a one shot you're dead, except from extreme ranges, depending on the type of ammo you use, because that, like, I like, you know, it's satisfying shooting someone in the head with like a spark or something like that, or anything. It's just satisfying shooting someone in the head and just killing them, just dropping them. You know what I mean? Like, talk to me, Ronnie.
Oh, a dogged fellow, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it merely thy habit to talk to dolls? Fine. Fine. I hadn't expected any soul to recognize me in this guise. But now the cat is out the bag. I cannot allow thee thy freedoms.
Pretty upset about discovering her.
Perform for me a service as recompense.
How about no?
Eliminate the baleful shadows which prowl these lands. The name of Rani the Witch is already sullied by thee.
Not really, I didn't do anything.
I will not brook disobedience in this matter.
Like you're really gonna do anything to me, Ronnie? You're relying on me to like do everything for you anyway. I'm the one that puts you in the seat of godhood, okay? Remember that. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully the changes and stuff they make the Hunt Showdown will be good ones. That with the engine update will make things more consistent, more reliable. Maybe hopefully cut down on a lot of the RNG stuff that happens in Hunt Showdown. Also allow them to take care of the cheating problem that has become an issue in Hunt Showdown, just like every shooter. You know, every shooter's infested with cheats and exploits and shit, so. You know, it is what it is. But hopefully that'll be something to look forward to get into. But otherwise, I don't really like. I just don't have anything else like shooter-wise to get into. I'm hoping that Smite 2 is going to be good, which is basically just, you know, them rebalancing Smite and releasing it on MeWe 5 again as well. You know, I really got onto Smite back in the day when it first kind of came out. I really like, you know, I like MOBAs, I do, but I don't know. I don't like, I mean, the top-down aspect is okay. It's not my favorite. I would rather have, like, I like the third person, and I like the, like, you know, it's essentially, it's a third-person FPS, but it's a MOBA. You know what I mean? It's like, it plays like a first-person shooter, but it just happens to be a MOBA, you know? That's what I really like about Smite. You know, I would be super into League if it was the same way, but it's not. But like, even if they changed the movement in League, so like it was still like a top down, where you could move your character with, you know, WASD, you know, the keyboard, instead of just clicking around with your mouse. Like if you had WASD movement, so you could do things a little more precise, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would enjoy that better. Kind of like how Battle Right or V Rising is, which is the same guys that made Battle Right. Like, if you ever played Battle Right back in the day, it was a top-down kind of, wasn't really a MOBA. It was kind of a PvP arena game, but it was like a top-down. Had like heroes or champs, kind of like League, but it was more of just 1v1 or 2v2s. I think they even had 3v3s at some point, but yeah, it was just more kind of like a team arena fighting game, but it was top down with WSD movement. So, like, if League was that way, I would probably be pretty into League. Like, I don't really play League of Legends, mostly because of like the clicking style of movement, just moving around with your mouse. I get where it comes from, and I get why, you know, people are used to it, but But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So that might, like, as far as multiplayer games go, Smite 2 and Hunt Showdown, with those big updates coming out, are kind of the things really that I have an eye on that I'm looking forward to. Potentially, I'm not holding my breath for the multiplayer in Space Marine 2. I feel like it'll probably just end up being kind of like a generic deathmatch or, you know, King of the Hill, whatever, control point style multiplayer game. More, you know, I feel like it won't be something that will be kind of more competitive-ish. But if they have a good, you know, shooting system in the game, and especially if they have a good in-depth melee system in the game that has, you know, blocking, parrying, or countering of some sort, and, you know, ways to outplay people, I can see myself getting into the multiplayer Space Marine 2 as well. Those are about the only 3 games right now, multiplayer wise, that I see coming out. And like, I hope one of them like really keeps me, because like, I don't know, man, like, I've said this before, like I really enjoy doing the reactions that I do, the reaction content that I make. I enjoy getting into things like the Warhammer 40K and, you know, those kind of universes, the SCP Foundation, and a lot of those stories. And I enjoy, you know, speculating on things, kind of theory crafting, if you will, I guess, on some of the stories, and having some what if ideas and theories. And you know, I enjoy having discussions on those things, and etc, etc. And I still want to do those and make some of my own videos when I can find the time between everything I'm doing to like make some of my own like videos on subjects in Warhammer 40K or the SCP universe and Elden Ring, you know, lore and stuff like that. But honestly, I like, the main thing I really want to do is just play my games, man. Like, I'm a gamer at heart, man. Like, I really just want to turn on a stream and play my games and just hang out with people and have a good time, you know, talking with people and just chilling and playing games, you know. Some of the best moments I had in my life, you know, growing up, was just chilling with some friends, you know, on the couch, playing some various games, you know, playing, you know, GoldenEye multiplayer, the 4, you know, split screen, running after each other and trying to kill each other, you know, golden gun only or whatever, you know, just dicking around with that stuff. Or you know, Mario Kart, the Super Mario Kart, or Mario Kart 64, which I still think Mario Kart 64 is the best Mario Kart. You can, like, I'll fight you. But, you know, stuff like that, those are some of the best memories I have, is just chilling with friends and playing stuff like that, you know what I mean? So like, that's kind of what I want to have for like a stream, you know. I want to have a stream where it feels like, you know, I'm just hanging out with some friends, chit-chatting and having whatever discussions, and we're playing games and having a good time, you know. That's what I genuinely really want to like do. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe eventually I can get, you know, my gaming content on my YouTube channel to be the main thing. Maybe I can get that to be more, you know, more popular or not. If not, that's fine. I still enjoy doing what I do now, and I'll just, at some point in time, I want to incorporate doing, you know, more live streams with games and stuff like that. Again, it's just finding time to do it. It really is what it comes down to, is just trying to find the time to do things between, you know, getting everything done that I want on YouTube. 'Cause, like, I really want to, I'm really trying my best. Like, hang on. Let me fight this so I can concentrate on what I'm trying to say. like, obviously my YouTube channel is growing and I'm making some content that people are enjoying. And so obviously, like, I want to do that for a living. Like, you know, I have an opportunity to, you know, keep building an audience and, you know, to be able to get to the point where I could potentially sustain myself just on doing, you know, YouTube content or whatever would be amazing. You know what I mean? That would be absolutely amazing, and it's a great opportunity. So, like, I'm really trying to do my best. Like, I have a goal that I really want to get a video a day out for a year at least. Like, I really want to try to do that. I want to try to get a video, like, not just any video, like video of actual substance, some kind of reaction, or you know, I want to, again, it's finding time to do so, but I want to also start adding movie and game reviews to my channel. It's been something I've been talking about for a while, but I just haven't really had the time to sit down and like really watch something, or when I get done playing a game or something like that, to really kind of put my thoughts down on, you know, pen and paper for what I want to say and all that kind of stuff, and then put everything together and edit stuff and etc, etc. Like, that's really the issue, is like kind of editing and putting together videos. It's very time consuming. So I'm trying to find a way of putting my own style of video together that is meaningful, that, you know, I'm proud of to put together and do, but at the same time, like, isn't super time consuming when it comes to editing, you know? For like reviews for movies and video games. So, you know, I forget how to get up to that very top part. There's a way to do it. I don't remember. I did it again my first playthrough, but I haven't been able to do it since. I think that's everything you can do here. We got the sword, and we killed him. So, alright, so now we're actually down here in Nokron, or Noxtella was, you know, as this is called, but we're actually now really down here. So we'll be continuing here with Ronnie's quest line. Yeah, I mean, you know, if it never gets to the point where like I can turn my gaming content into like my main overall content, and you know, it's just reaction and reviews and stuff like that, that's fine. And even if it only gets to the point where like, if I'm only making, you know, maybe 100 or a couple $100 off of YouTube a month, and it never grows any more than that, that's fine too. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciate all the support, and you know, I'm happy to just, you know, if that's all the money I get is just money from essentially ads, and you know, if there's a small group of people that decide they want to join my memberships and support me, you know, monetarily that way, then that's fine. You know, like I said, if it's more money than I would be making if I'm not doing it, and you know, it's a hobby kind of a thing. So, and I enjoy having, you know, these discussions and these kind of things, and bringing up these topics and etc, etc. So if it never turns out to be anything more than just a hobby, then that's cool too. I'm fine with that. But you know, if I can get to the point where I can make, you know, a comfortable, I'm not even talking about, you know, like PewDiePie levels or, you know, Mr. Beast levels or anything insane like that. You know, I'm not talking about crazy levels of success. I'm just talking about, like, you know, making enough money to pay the bills, put food on the table, and, you know, have a comfortable lifestyle. You know, where occasionally I can take a vacation and I'm not struggling, essentially. Like, if I could get to the point of doing that, you know, on YouTube, awesome. Ain't streaming, you know, then awesome. That would be great. That is, of course, the dream. That's what I would love to be able to do, but again, if that doesn't end up happening, then that's fine. Like I said, any little bit of money that I make goes to paying the bills and helps make life easier. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, and I'm grateful for all of it. And I have fun doing it. And I've been enjoying, you know, hanging out and talking and meeting with new people, and I'm grateful for you know, the members that I have. It's been fun hanging out and talking with them and doing a lot of the live stream reactions with them. And you know, it's cool to see my Discord grow and people coming in and hanging out in there and sharing memes and talking about various things and stories and whatnot. So why is this dude just sitting there? I'm just grateful for, honestly, also just meeting new people and making new friends, and you know, it's been a fun journey so far. It's been almost a year now. It's really it was about this time last year that I kind of was like, you know, I've been streaming on Twitch for a long time. I've been streaming on Twitch, really, I mean, I've been streaming on Twitch since probably like 2013, 2012, 2013, even back during the JTV days. But like, that was more of just like messing around. I didn't really kind of take streaming on Twitch serious and trying to make something of it until the H1Z1 days happened, 2016-ish, somewhere around in there. But that game was kind of at its height, you know, on Twitch back in the days of, you know, watching Doc and Summit chase after and fight each other, and you know, back when the battle royale genre was at its earliest, before Shroud it even like became a big thing with PUBG, you know, before PUBG was even a thing. But you know, I had a small community based around H1Z1, you know, the BR, for a while. And I would get, you know, every time I turned my stream, I'd usually get, you know, anywhere from 10 to 50 people, depending on the day and the time. I would come in and hang out and watch me play, and it was fun. But that game quickly died once PUBG came out, and that PUBG kind of took over. And Twitch is kind of a weird space where, you know, unless you have a certain kind of personality, and maybe I just don't, you know, where people watch you for your personality alone, not just your gameplay. Like, you gotta have some kind of person, like, regardless of how well you are at a game, you gotta have some kind of personality to like actually keep people, you know what I mean? Because there's only so much you're gonna be able to do just playing, you know, it's gonna keep people around. Eventually you'll have kind of done everything and people have seen you do everything, and eventually it could get, you know, tired out. But you gotta have some kind of like personality to keep people there. But in general, like, the viewers on Twitch, they kind of like really are there to watch you play a specific game. And once you stop playing that game you kind of build things up on, they don't stick around, you know what I mean? I mean, that's what happened. You know, I had a following with H1Z1. H1Z1 kind of really died for a lot of different reasons, but also mainly because PUBG became kind of the big game that everyone moved to, and the audience just didn't follow. And that happens. You know? Then I went back to like streaming for, you know, basically just a few of my friends would come in and say hello when I was playing PUBG or whatever, or wanting to know if I wanted to squad up instead of just playing solos, or etc, etc. And then Hunt Showdown came around, and I got another following playing Hunt Showdown. got quite a big following playing Hunt Showdown. Actually, I don't know for sure if I am the first person to make any kind of YouTube content for Hunt Showdown, but I know during the beta, or actually I think it was the alpha, I got in for the first alpha. I got into the alpha early on. I don't know if it was like the first wave. I don't know if it was like a closed thing or what, but it was, I don't remember if it was the alpha or the beta. I think it was the alpha, but I got in early and, you know, was running into people that were really having problems with the game. Like, mechanical wise, because early in Hunt Showdown, like, they have right now two kind of gun modes. There's like Hunter and Gunslinger, I think is what they're called. And so like Gunslinger is kind of like how normal FPS games are, where it's like you hit the mouse 2 or whatever and your guy just ADSs. But originally they had it so that like you're when you're moving around normally, your guys would have their gun lowered. You would have to then hit shift to bring it up to hip fire, and then you'd have to hit mouse 2 to ADS. And so people didn't know that you had to do that, and so they were like, what the fuck, why is there no ADS in this game? Why is my aim so poor? Why am I not hitting things? You know, etc, etc. And so I, you know, was watching a lot of that on Reddit, and also just talking to people in game, because they had VoIP in game, and people were like, I had open VoIP. So like I would talk to them and be like, hey, yeah, you got to do this, that, and the other thing, and blah, blah, blah. So I just made like a simple kind of like basic tips and trick guide that like, hey, this is how you get into the game. This is how you get a hunter going. This is how you set up a little build for them. These are the basics of like, this is how you ADS in the game. These are some basic status effects, you know, poison, bleed, fire, etc. And these are the kind of the zombies that do them, you know. Watch out for birds. They make a lot of noise. Noise is key in the game. And, you know, watch your VoIPing, because you're giving your position away again. Noise is key, etc, etc. You know, I made a very kind of basic video, and I like took off. Like literally overnight, I got like 20,000 views and a shit ton of subs, and like my YouTube channel like really took off, and I had a shit ton of people then follow me on Twitch from that. And so like for a while, I was usually in, if I wasn't the top person streaming Hunt Showdown, I was in like the top 3 in the Hunt Showdown category. Like, but, so I mean, like I started making a lot of guide videos for Hunt Showdown on various topics and doing things. And I had a lot of fun with that, but eventually, a lot of the issues that came up with Hunt Showdown kind of like took over the game. At the time, the game was very demanding with the Cry engine. It still is kind of demanding for a lot of people, but computer stuff is really kind of caught up with it. But you know, when it came out, I had like, what is it? I think I had an i7 4700K, you know, like 32 gigs of RAM or whatever, and like, I again basically at the time had about as good as a computer as you could have, and was struggling to get like 40 to 50 FPS. So people who had not so good computers, it was pretty much impossible for them to play. And it just became a situation where the player base kind of died because they didn't have good enough computers to play it. And it became a situation where I started streaming, you know, I'd be streaming and I would like 9 out of 10 raids that I would go into in Hunt Showdown, I would never find another human being. Like I wouldn't find another person, wouldn't hear any shots. I basically was just running around PvEing. Like, that's kind of what it really came down to. And it got boring to play, and get fucked, guys. It got boring to kind of play that, and it got boring for people to watch it. You know, like I would ask people, be like, you know, hey man, are you guys having fun with this? Because I mean, like, you know, I understand this is gonna be kind of boring. I appreciate you guys coming in here and hanging out and watching me play this, but like, you know, it's just, I'm basically just running around killing, you know, AI mobs and hunting down the bosses, and I'm just, you know, getting out of here, just making money and looting and just talking to you guys. Like, I don't mind doing this necessarily, but I don't know how long I can like sit here and play this game not fighting people, you know? And so like, yeah, it eventually just got to the point where kind of like the game on Showdown's gone through several phases where it's like died and come back and died and come back. Like, I don't know of any other multiplayer shooter game in existence that like has had its player base die and come back. And they've gone through kind of like different iterations of Hunt Showdown over the year. Like Hunt Showdown originally was like a much more hardcore kind of survival-esque game. It was meant to be like, originally it was meant to be a PvP kind of horror survival hardcore game. Like originally, like the hunters were set up in tiers. You'd have like tier 1, 2, and 3 hunters, and like tier 1 hunter, like the tier of your hunter would base your maximum health would be based on the tier of the hunter, right? So like a tier 1 hunter would only really have 100 health, but like every gun in the game would basically, the least amount of damage a gun in the game would do is like 110 damage, right? So if you got shot in the chest as a tier 1 hunter, you were basically dead. The only time you would really survive that is at longer ranges. You know, there's not bullet drop, but there's damage drop off at longer ranges. So you know, at longer ranges you get into fights where you wouldn't necessarily die in one hit. But you know, the issue with that became, you know, people who were able to take the time to really grind the game and to get the higher tier level of hunters unlocked were rewarded. You know what I mean? They would once you got to a tier 3 hunter, you would have the max available health that you could get. On top of that, you would also get the chance to have better starting equipment. Like you would just have better weapons to start with, you know? So like back then, but they didn't have scopes back then either, but back then, like the Mosin was, it's still insane now, but back then it was like, it was ridiculous. Having a weapon that could essentially one-shot another player, but also having 5 rounds of capability of doing that before, you know, having to reload. Like you could easily wipe out a whole team before they had a chance to really kind of like react and do anything. You know, if they were caught out in the open moving between compounds, it was very easy to wipe out another team. And so that was another issue with the player base. Like issues like that kind of took away from the overall gameplay. But over the years, they've kind of really like fixed a lot of those issues, etc, etc. And so, I mean, like, I wouldn't say the game, in my opinion, is in the best state it's ever been. For the time period, like for vets of Hunt Showdown, you know, the different patches that have gone through are kind of like the different time periods. And patch 1.2 was, I think, in my opinion, the best that the game overall was. It was at its most balanced. All the guns, well, not all the guns, but the majority of all weapons at that time were viable, unlike now. Both long range and close range were really kind of meta. You know, I mean, it still kind of is that way to an extent, you could say. You know, there's close range meta and there's long range meta, but right now, I mean, long ammo weapons with Spitzer, especially like long ammo weapons like that you can have scopes on with Spitzer, they're just the best weapons in the game. Like, that's just, there's no question. Like, it's basically, you virtually have hit scan weapons, and then you have scopes that allow you to target people from long range much easier, you know? So it's like, you can kill someone from another compound before they even know it's happening, and you don't really have a lot of the issues, you know, having to lead as much within those scenarios, you know? So, basically, though, all of this is going around to say, you know, with their new engine and a lot of the reworks that they're sound like they're doing, retooling weapons and ammo, and how health works and how revives are going to work and damage. It's going to be interesting to see, you know. It'll be interesting to see what they do. You know, it'll be interesting to see how the game turns out. You didn't die? Really? Really don't think there's anything for me to get down here other than like the gravewort stuff that I'm getting here. You can't call him, huh? Yeah, hopefully between Hunt Showdown and Smite 2, I'll find some multiplayer games that'll keep me and can make some content for those. But beyond that, I still have a lot of other games, single player ones to do stuff for. Still need to do one Cyberpunk playthrough for you guys. I've still got, you know, my Chaos Gate playthrough is done. I gotta get that up for you guys. I've actually played through Remnant 2. I gotta get that playthrough up for you guys. I'll have this playthrough up with the Erdtree DLC. And then after that, I'll probably do my Cyberpunk run. And then by the time I get done with that, it'll be getting close to Space Marine 2 release. I have Space Marine run that I got on the summer sale here. So I'll do a playthrough of that. I've got Space Marine, what is it called? What is this game called? Space Hulk Deathwing. I got that. I've played through it originally, but there's the enhanced edition that changes stuff, and it's been years since I played through it, so I can play through that and get a playthrough of that up as well. And by the time I get through that stuff, probably Space Marine 2 will be out and ready to go, so then we'll get that done. And then after that, I'll figure out what I'm doing from there, you know? I have several playthrough ideas of things that I want to do here in Elden Ring to see how certain interactions and things change. And also, obviously, talk about lore, discussion, stuff like that. So once I get through my first playthrough of the DLC, I'll probably do some streams where I'm just sitting here playing Elden Ring and chilling out. So hopefully see you guys come in with that. And we'll play us through some of these things, you know. Don't see me at all, huh? Okay, well, I mean, whatever. Now there's the shadow version of Blythe we need to fight, but I'm gonna...
Tell the two fingers that Rani the Witch cometh to rend thy flesh with a fateful wound, ne'er to heal.
Yeah, 1 second. I'm gonna go make sure I hit this save first. I'm gonna make sure I hit this grace before we do get into anything crazy here. That's what it is. It's like 1:30. Yeah. Okay. So how many you give me? 5. So do 4. Yeah, there we go. With a slight little bit left over, but whatever. Well, 3 more levels and we'll have this up to 50, and then we'll get faith up to 50. Well, I guess after I get strength up to 50, I'll look at getting mind and endurance up to like 25 apiece. Then we'll get faith up to 50. Then I'll look at getting dex up to like 30 to 40 for the cast speed. Plus it'll give me a little more physical damage scaling for my weapons, so. Let's go, brother. Good night, sweet prince.
My thanks. It was more of a challenge than I envisioned. Now,
are you saying I'm bad?
Stand before them. This is farewell, my dear. Tell Blythe and Iji I love them.
You just said I'm bad. It was more of a challenge than I thought. Like, okay, whatever, dude. Okay, whatever, dude. Yeah, we're at the Lake of Rot. Alright. I think this is a good spot for me to take a little break and get some lunch from getting hungry, but, you know. We've made some progress. We've, where's the map? Isn't the map just like right down here? Oh no, I think the map is actually further ahead. Maybe it's not. Let me check. Is this the map right here? There's the map. Okay. So, this is what I was talking about before in one of my earlier videos. This area right here looks like it's supposed to be something, right? Let me run out here. Like, it looks like this is supposed to be like another area potentially that you can access, right? I mean, like, look at that. As far as I know, there's no way to get over into whatever this is. It looks like there's two big pillars and something else you're supposed to go to and get to over here. But this area right to here, I don't even know if this area is accessible. And then you go through here, and then I don't even think you can get down to this part right here. You know what I mean? This just takes you down further, but it's like, it seems like this was supposed to be something that they were going, maybe this is like cut, like they didn't finish this, you know what I mean? We were gonna do something more with this, but they didn't. I don't know. So I still wonder if there's gonna be something more here from the DLC, or if this is just something that was left over. You know what I mean? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, this is a good point for me to take a break and get some lunch. We'll be back on a little bit later today, hopefully. And we'll finish this. And once we get underneath here, I think it's just fighting Estelle. Then we go back, we get the ring. And then we give it to Ronnie. She becomes our waifu. And then we get the Darkmoon Greatsword. Then we can go also get one of the spells, I think, up there. And then we'll have Ronnie's quest done. And then once we're done with that, that's just cleaning up some of the side stuff. You know, going through and getting any other legendary weapons, legendary spells, and talismans that we can up until we get to the Erdtree area. We could also kill Moog too. We could also go ahead and go fight Moog and try to kill him. But yeah, then it's going through and finishing up anything up through the Erdtree area. I'm gonna progress up to Millicent's quest, as I said before. We'll finish Millicent's quest line and get to the Side of Grace just before Melania. I don't want to fight Melania. I want to wait and see what happens in the DLC if anything changes with her. Once we get to there, we'll light the fire top, and then we'll go to Fair Missoula, finish up Fair Missoula. There's a legendary weapon there, legendary talisman there. There's Alexander's quest line to finish, which then, once we finish his, we can also go down to Jarburg and finish Jarbaron's quest. At that point, once we finish Fair Missoula, we'll go in here to the Ashen Capital. I think also in the Erdtree up here, there's another, the last two seedbed curses are in here. So we can give those to Dung Eater and get his curse mark for the Elden Ring if we want to. Just finish his quest line. So we'll finish his, finish Millicent's, finish Alexander's quest. And then Brother Corrin, I think, is the last NPC that we find here in the Ashen Capital. And then the last legendary talisman, Erdtree +2, I think, is found here in the legendary in the Ashen Capital. And I think once we get there, I think I'm just gonna fight Godfrey, and then that'll be the end of the run until the DLC starts. I'm still debating if I want to actually play an ending or not. I don't think I do. Like, I've been, again, debating on, you know, do I want to go ahead and do the Chaos ending and have that as an ending that's cemented? Because doing that causes Melina to want to hunt you down. She vows to hunt you down. So I would wonder if she will hunt you down in through the DLC or not. But I also wonder if there's any other endings that potentially can open up from doing DLC content. And if we do an ending before then, will it restrict us? So, I mean, once we get through the DLC and we beat Melania up here, I can always get Miquella's Needle and then go to Fair Missoula, where Placidusex's place is, and use the needle to remove the chaos from me if I have to do another ending. If I want, if there's new endings. So, that's the plan. We're gonna finish up the stuff underground, which won't take much longer. Then it's just doing a lot of the side stuff. getting ashes, talismans, and legendary weapons that are left up until this area. Then go through the Erdtree, finish any quest lines and stuff, and get to the point where we're gonna fight Melania, and then light the fire, go to Fair Missoula, play through Fair Missoula, and then kill Godfrey. And once we get Godfrey done, that'll probably be it. So, might be able to finish this up later today, but if not, we should definitely have it done by tomorrow. So, anyway, appreciate you guys hanging out, watching the playthrough. I hope you're enjoying it. You know, was talking a lot about a lot of different things for today, so hope you enjoy my conversations with myself. But anyway, yeah, hope y'all have a wonderful day, and we'll see you guys on the next one.